Hey friends, back at it again. We are reading Zane and the Hurricane. We are on chapter 25, getting closer and closer to the end. So this is called Broken People. So let's jump in. Before my trip to Smellyville, the most people I'd ever been around was probably the day before Christmas at the Mall of New Hampshire. Mom is really into it and always makes me go. Okay, that's not quite true because I like it. Two, all the sparkly decorations and the fake presents piled high in the store windows and the trees decorated with blinking lights, the phony Santas with their fake beards and padding, and so called normal people wearing elf hats and ringing bells, even if the goofy songs I play over and over and over again in the background. But after an hour or two of waiting in lines and stuff, the crowds really start to bother me. Mom says it's about my personal boundaries, but does anyone really enjoy being shoved up against strangers knowing what they had for lunch because you can smell the salami or whatever on their breath? Ew, right? Okay, maybe that's stupid because what's going on at the Superdome is so far from Christmas in New Hampshire that it might as well be another planet. The closer we get, the more people are wandering around looking like zombies on a long walk to nowhere. Some are trudging through nearby streets, still covered by a foot of water. Some are huddled wherever they can find shade, fanning themselves with pieces of paper or cardboard, their eyes kind of stunned or empty. Some pushing shopping carts full of stuff they saved from their houses, photo albums, suitcases, and clothing like that. This one guy in a torn t-shirt and pajama bottoms is shaking his fist at the sky and shouting out a tumble of words that don't make any sense. And Mr. True suggests that we cross the other side of the street. Ignore the poor man, he says. He broken. There are lots and lots of broken people. Old people, young people, kids, babies, mostly black folks. But some white people too, and a few in between who probably look a little like me, or a lot like me. Not that I want to check for myself in a mirror, not after days without a shower and wearing clothes that are baked in sweat and soaked in floodwaters and crusted with dirt from spending the night in the garden shed. Come to think of it, me, Malvina, and Mr. True, we probably look like zombies too. The closer we get to the dome, the worse the smell. Okay, this is really gross. But the whole Superdome reeks of pee and poop. And if the outside is bad, Mr. True says the inside must be worse. All them folks crammed in together in this heat? I don't know, darling. Maybe this dome plan was a mistake. But they got doctors, right? Malvina says. Must be a doctor and medicine inside. Somebody to fix your foot. Bound to. I hope so, says Mr. True. But he doesn't sound like he believes it. When we get around to the main entrance, there are even more people. Hundreds, maybe even thousands. Too many to count. Some have gathered in family clumps and some on their own. Some in wheelchairs or sitting on plastic milk crates. Some are crying and wailing and begging for help. Some are drenched in silence. Many are standing in a long, long line that snakes partway around the building and doesn't seem to move. Men in uniform guard the entrance, some city police, some of them, but most army-looking dudes with helmets and combat rifles, looking like they'd rather be anywhere but here. National Guard, Mr. True says. They in charge. Looking around at the crazy scene, Malvina says, ain't nobody in charge. She turns to this older woman propped up in a lawn chair holding a rain umbrella over her head, attempting to shade herself from the sun. All alone with her belongings in a grocery bag at her feet. Excuse me, ma'am, Malvina says. You know if they got doctors inside? The woman shrugs. If they do, I don't see none. Old folks dying in there from the terrible heat and no medicine. That's why I came back out to the street. They trying to do right, those that can, but there's too many people and not enough National Guard. Some of the young men's are getting violent, making threats and smashing up the soda machines and stealing what they can. Got so bad the guards don't want nobody more inside. They done closed the dome? Seems like it. Might change their mind. They've been doing that too. Is that why all these people are in line? The woman points with her umbrella. That the line for buses. They keep waiting for buses. Buses supposed to take us away, make us somebody else's problem. Houston, they say, or Atlanta, anywhere but New Orleans. We've been waiting and waiting. There ain't no buses. Hearing the old lady describe the situation, Mr. True gets so discouraged, he seems to shrink in his chair. He starts apologizing about how he's messing us up, but Malvina cuts him off. You saying this your fault? She said. Did you make the hurricane? Huh? Did you make the levees fail? Did you make the flood? This ain't on you, True. Yeah, it is, he insists. I should have got you out of New Orleans like they told us to. Folding her skinny arms in defiance, Malvina goes, Was that old car of yours broke? Yes, it was. Broke and wouldn't run. Did we have money to get us to Baton Rouge or rent a motel somewhere? No, we didn't. Because you gave all your money to my mama. Did you save me from the rising water? Yes, you did. So do me a big favor and stop saying it's your fault. It ain't your fault. She shouts the last part at the top of her lungs. So clear and strong for a moment, everybody in the crowd outside the dome stares at that skinny girl with the wild hair and the big voice. Not the least bit embarrassed, she looks right back at them and grins. True dat, she says, raising her fist, and her words seem to echo across the crowd, repeated from one person to the next. True dat, they all agree. Normally, it's kind of embarrassing when someone makes a big fuss in public, but not this time. It was really cool hearing all of those strangers agree with Malvina, even though a lot of them probably don't even know what she was talking about exactly. The crowd doesn't pay attention for long, though, because a big booming noise comes rolling down the street. A shiny black Cadillac Escalade cruising along with wicked rims and a sound system that makes the ground shake under our feet. So loud you could feel it in your chest, rattling your rib cage. I recognize the song because it's been playing everywhere all summer. Lose Control by Missy Elliott. Boom, 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 boom. Chrome pipe out of sight. And sure enough, the Escalade has chrome pipes and blue lights, mirrored windows tinted the deepest shade of dark. Boom, boom, shaking the air, shaking the earth. The Escalade stops beside us. A rear door opens and out of the cool leather interior slips a scary-looking dude in a designer shade and gold chains. Dylan Toomey, big as life. Chapter 26. A big pile of stink. Okay, I'll admit to being scared stiff. Like my feet are glued to the hot pavement even though I want to run away. When something bad comes your way, something you can't fight, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Run for your life? And Dylan Toomey is something bad. First time back there at the cookout, I wasn't sure. He made it sound so tempting, a nice dry place to stay and TV and games and stuff. But this time, there's no doubt. I get this awful cold feeling in my guts at the idea of him taking charge of Malvina. And that clearly is what he intends to do. Standing cool on the street like the heat doesn't even exist, at least not for him, and ever so casually stroking a thumb along his gold chain, his cool shades reflecting the Superdome. He makes a sign with his left hand and the music stops, although the Escalade stays running, waiting. Malvina, he says with a big smile. Honey, we've been looking all over. Your mom is worried sick about you. Malvina says, How you know that? Just talk to her, he says, displaying a cell phone. Had us a long conversation. You did not. Sensing trouble, people in the crowd start shuffling off or backing up, wanting nothing to do with the gold-draped dude with the cool rim SUV. So, something is about to go down, and everybody knows it. Toomey grins and saunters closer. For him, all of the thousands of survivors in the vicinity of the Superdome might as well not even exist. Even me and Mr. True don't exist to him. He's entirely focused on Malvina, and the way a cat focuses on a chipmunk that chatters back. Don't you dare, says Malvina, raising her voice. I ain't going with you. Dylan Toomey keeps coming, taking his time. That's when I notice we've attracted the attention of the National Guard. They react reluctantly, but one of them says something in his walkie-talkie and then another one nods. The pair of them warily take up new positions, holding rifles at the ready. Not interfering yet, but keeping an eye on the situation. Mr. True says under his breath, Time you both get a running. He's gripping the arm of his chair, ready to launch himself at the man in the gold chains. Malvina, seeing what's about to happen, steps away from the chair and raises her arm to distract attention from the old man. Somebody help us, she screams. Not like she's afraid, more like she's angry. This man ain't no family to me. He a gangster. He a thug. Toomey reacts with a smirk. confident that no one will risk interfering. Smiling his fake smile, he reaches out as if he wants to take hold of Malvina and lead her to safety in his shiny SUV. She ducks under his outstretched hand and screams, "He's got a gun! He got a gun!" Everything happens all at once. Seems like slow motion, even though it's not. The National Guard dude react by taking aim and shouting, drop it, and show us your hands. Get on the ground." Pretty much all at the same time. Toomey kind of freezes in place, although he's still smiling. I can see, even if the guards can't, that his hands are empty. While all this is going on, my heart doesn't have time for one more beat. That's how fast everything is happening. Malvina grabs my arm, and somehow I know what she wants me to do, even though she doesn't say anything. Mind melding, my mom calls it. Whatever it is, I know. I put Bandit in True's lap, and without saying a word, we take hold of the man's chair and run it along the street, fast as we can, never looking back, just flying. Mr. True holds on for dear life, bouncing around as little as the plastic wheels blast over the pavement. Bandy hunkers down, his ears flat. Behind us, the National Guard dudes are freaking out and screaming at Toomey not to move or they'll shoot. We're running as fast as we can, and I expect to hear gunshots, but they don't shoot, and nobody tries to stop us getting away either. In fact, people are making room, open up places for us to run, and then closing behind us, either on purpose or by accident. It doesn't matter, so long as we can keep running and shoving that chair over the rough pavement. We are making pretty good getaway, all things considered, but there's no way we can outrun that Escalade if it wants to catch us. Malvina must be thinking the same thing, because we go a few blocks out of sight from whatever we left behind and comes to a stop and goes, "We need a place to hide." A place to hide. Oh yes, that's my urge too. If I could lift up an edge of the sidewalk and burrow into the earth, I would. But that's no place to go, no place to hide. All around us are boarded up office buildings and a few vacant lots that are blown so bare that there's not even a tree to hide behind. Maybe they'll arrest him, I say. Maybe we're safe. I don't believe it, and neither do they. Mr. True goes, "That man is slippery as a snake. Even if they put cuffs on him, he'll send somebody after us. Zane, can you take plywood off the windows?" I make a quick inspection. No way. Even with a screwdriver, it'd take forever. "Okay," she says. "Take a deep breath." We keep running. That's when I noticed this huge dumpster alongside one of the office buildings. A nasty green thing overflowing with piles of garbage and trash spilling out onto the street, leaking in all directions. "You serious?" she asks, her nose wrinkling. "It can't smell worse than the Superdome." Oh, but it does. Imagine thousands of backed up toilets and 10 tons of fresh steaming dog dew and 100 dead cats and all the dirty cat boxes for all the dead cats and every spoiled rotten thing from every nasty garbage pail in the world. The dumpster stinks worse than that. Way, way worse. And it's not like we climb into the dumpster or anything. There's no room inside of it because it's overflowing, okay? We're only hiding behind it, behind the piles of rotting garbage, gagging on the smell, eyes watering from the overwhelming stench. Even Bandy keeps shaking his head and snorting through his nose, like he can't believe a smell this strong. Seems like forever, but really it's only a few minutes later and we hear the boom boom of the SUV rolling down the street with the sound system blasting. The deafening bass rattles off the buildings, making it twice as loud. Boom, boom, boom. Lose Control by Missy Elliott. Man, I'm starting to hate that song. I peek around the corner of the dumpster. There it is, gleaming. The black Escalade with the wicked cool rims and the chrome pipes. The Escalade that looks like it has muscles of steel and throbbing light. This time, Dylan Toomey doesn't even bother to get out of the car. A back window rolls down. His face hangs in the interior dimness like a shadow of a moon. He smiles, flashing his gold. The music stops. "Malvina Rollins," he bellows. "All right, you a smart girl, just like your mama. I like that. Sick the guard on me and run off. That was smart. Now you hide behind that pile of stink, I'm assuming. I don't want to get my new Jordans all dirty." "You right. Got better things to do on this fine morning. Got me a business to run, folks to take care of. Something about the way he says, something about what he says strikes him funny because he chuckles and shakes his head in amusement. Then he tips his shades so we can see his clear, cold eyes staring at us like brown laser beams. I'll be watching you, little girl. Wherever you're at, wherever you go, I'll be there. We're going to get together soon, you and me. We're going to be friends. You'll see. The window slides up like a cloud sliding over the moon, and a moment later he's gone, riding boomba rattle boom out of the ruined city.